And since then, they've protected it heavily. So for Ukraine, every strike on Crimea is a statement, a military breakthrough. In fact, a pattern is starting to emerge here. First, Ukraine hit air bases across Russia with drones.
11. А тот 8 куда-то прилетел.
This happened over the weekend. Ukraine hit air bases across Russia with drones, and now the strike on the Crimean bridge. These are not random operations. They were months in the making. There was intelligence involved. The operations were conducted covertly, and Ukraine managed to bypass Russian defenses. It chose specific targets to hit Russia's strategic and defensive choke points. In fact, the Crimean bridge was key to sustaining Russia's war, and the air bases were instrumental in launching aerial attacks on Ukraine. So here's what Kyiv tried to do. It exploited gaps in Russian defenses. It caused maximum damage with minimal resources. Ukraine is no longer trying to match Russia weapon for weapon. It is using low-cost tools to hit billion-dollar targets. This is classic asymmetric warfare. It is deliberate, disruptive, and effective. Of course, Russia has tried to play down the strike. It says the attack did not cause any damage.
Yes, there was an explosion. Nothing was damaged. The bridge is working. The Kyiv regime continues its attempts to attack civilian infrastructure. Russian side continues to take precautionary measures.
And the Crimean bridge was not the only casualty. In the last 24 hours, 2 more bridges have collapsed in Russia, both near the border with Ukraine. At least 7 people were killed and dozens were injured. Russia has blamed Ukraine for the damage, but Ukraine calls it a false flag operation. So the tensions continue to rise. Russia's war rhetoric is getting more aggressive. Consider the latest comments from Dmitry Medvedev. He's the former president of Russia, a close confidant of Vladimir Putin, and now a top security official. And this is what Medvedev has said, I'm quoting, "Everything that needs to be blown up will be blown up, and those who must be eliminated will be." A few days back, he threatened World War III, and now he said this. Comments like these kill the prospects for a truce. Medvedev said Russia's goal is not peace, it is victory. And Russia wants the total destruction of Ukraine's government. They call it a neo-Nazi regime. They want it gone. In fact, Russia's latest demands are telling. They want Ukraine to cede even more territory. They want Ukraine to adopt a neutral status, to reduce the size of its army, and to hold elections under terms which are not acceptable to Kyiv. Frankly, none of these demands are new. Russia has proposed them, and Ukraine has rejected them in the past. But this week, Russia formally presented the same demands again as preconditions for a ceasefire. This was during their talks in Istanbul. As expected, Ukraine has rejected them. The two sides found common ground only on one issue. They agreed to a prisoner exchange and the return of over 12,000 bodies of soldiers.
We agreed the most wide-range swap of the prisoners of war according to following formula. First, all the heavily wounded, all the critically sick will be exchanged all for all. This is our humanitarian move. Second, the young soldiers aged up to 25 will be exchanged according to the same formula.
So where does that leave the conflict? All signs point to further escalation. Ukraine's strikes are a message, a bold demonstration of its resolve and its growing capacity to defend its ground. But Ukraine alone cannot shift the course of this conflict. Russia still commands a vast war machine. Russia still controls almost 20% of Ukrainian territory. So Kyiv has taken a bold risk. We hope Zelensky is prepared for what may come next. We keep hearing that the global system does not work, that it's broken, it needs fixing. But just how broken is it? We'll tell you that tonight. Let me introduce the new Vice Chair of the United Nations Counterterrorism Committee, Pakistan. You heard me right. The same Pakistan that sponsors terror, the same Pakistan where Osama bin Laden lived, the same Pakistan that hosts multiple UN-designated terrorists, that Pakistan is now Vice Chair of the United Nations' Counter-Terrorism Committee. And that is not all. They will also chair the Taliban Sanctions Committee. It's like asking the thief to guard your house. But why is the UN doing it? And what does it mean for India? First, some background. The UN Security Council has multiple committees. The Taliban Sanctions Committee is one of them. So is the ISIL and Al-Qaeda Committee, and so is the Counter-Terrorism Committee. All these committees have their own mandate. And who chairs them? Well, that keeps changing every year. You see, the Security Council has two parts. They have 5 permanent members, the US, the UK, France, Russia, and China, and the 10 non-permanent members. These 10 members, the non-permanent members, are elected by the General Assembly for a period of 2 years. They keep changing. You need a 2/3 majority to get elected. So how Pakistan got that is also a surprise. But once the members are elected, negotiations begin. Countries can give their inputs. They can ask for certain committees. But usually, the permanent members take the final call. They decide who chairs which committees. And in this case, they went with Pakistan. Islamabad will chair the Taliban Committee for 2025. They will also be the vice chair for the Counter-Terrorism Committee. It's the biggest farce you will see. Pakistan is home to 150 UN-designated terrorists and groups, 150. Yet the same Pakistan will oversee counter-terrorism. Frankly, mock UNs are more serious than this. Which brings us to the second question. How will this impact India? Well, Pakistan's UNSC membership is a huge roadblock because all these committees work on consensus, meaning every member has a veto. So Pakistan can single-handedly shoot down India's efforts. For instance, right now, India is trying to sanction the TRF, the Resistance Front, the proxy of the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the group behind the Pahalgam terror attack. India is trying to put this group on the sanctions list. But with Pakistan at the United Nations Security Council, that is impossible. They can veto India's push. Plus, Islamabad can set the agenda. They can use the committees to shape the narrative. And chances are they will target groups that oppose them, like the Pakistani Taliban or the Baloch Liberation Army. Islamabad will go after them. And groups that target India, Islamabad could simply brush them under the carpet. And this could continue for a while because Pakistan's membership lasts until the end of 2026. Which means India will have to lobby extra hard. Yes, Pakistan has a veto on sanctions, but that is no reason to stop the campaign. India must reach out to other members of the United Nations Security Council. We must expose Pakistan's double game. Only then can we set the narrative. Of course, in the long run, we must call for reforms too, because this system makes no sense. As of now, China is a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council. Just think how absurd that is. Chinese people have no freedoms at home. But you expect the same China to protect those freedoms elsewhere. Qatar is also a part of the Human Rights Council. Again, no freedom, no democracy here. Another example is North Korea. In 2022, they took charge of the United Nations top disarmament agency. And you did not hear that wrong. I did say North Korea, the country with an illegal nuclear weapons program. They were heading a disarmament agency. All these examples confirm the obvious, that the global system is broken. It is true that we do not have any alternatives yet, but we never will until we push for it. Countries across the world should introspect. Do they want a terror sponsor leading a counter-terrorism agency? Do they want a police state upholding human rights? Do they want a rogue state checking disarmament? I'm guessing the answer will be no.
Pakistan would still like to cooperate with India to combat terrorism. The hurdles we face within the UN and in general as far as the Kashmir cause is concerned, that still exists.
Some leaders earn their place on the world stage, others are simply born into it, but few have fumbled their inheritance, quite like Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. At 35, he is Pakistan's Nepo prince. He has 2 famous last names and a foreign accent. But what he's missing is diplomatic skills, the kind you cannot inherit. You can only earn them. And looks like Bilawal is learning that the hard way. You see, after Operation Sindoor, India acted swiftly. It dispatched delegations across the globe, multi-party delegations that represented India. Our leaders presented facts. They briefed India's friends and partners across the world. They told them what happened, how Pakistani terrorists killed innocent civilians in India. And Pakistan had a choice here. They could either introspect or they could imitate India. Of course, they chose imitation. And they sent the first political heir they could find. So Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was sent to New York. And he came armed with delusions. Bilawal was addressing a press conference at the United Nations headquarters. He was speaking about terrorism and he came up with a grand idea. Listen to this.
Pakistan would still like to cooperate with India to combat terrorism. We can't leave the fate of 1.5, 1.7 billion people in the hands of non-state actors and terrorists. For them to decide at a whim that 2 nuclear armed powers will go to war.
So this is Bilawal's grand strategy, a collaboration between India and Pakistan, between the RAW and the ISI, that too to combat terrorism. We say the idea is DOA, dead on arrival, because it's the same ISI that shelters terror networks, the same ISI that has masterminded attacks on Indian soil. But Bilawal Bhutto Zardari says India should join hands with them. That is his strategic brilliance. It's like watching the arsonist torch a house and then volunteer to help the fire brigade. So here's a message for Mr. Bhutto. India is already tackling terrorism. That is why India bombed 9 terror camps in Pakistan. But what is Islamabad doing? They're handing out money and state funerals to terrorists, which obviously is not fighting terror, it is funding terror. This is a kind of suggestion that might work at a model UN. Sadly for Bilawal, this was the real one. And we know diplomacy is hard. But it's a lot harder when you're trying to copy your neighbor's playbook. India has concrete evidence, Pakistan has excuses. The thing is, you cannot copy-paste credibility. And here's when things went downhill. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari tried to pull the victim card. He said that this was being politicized to demonize Indian Muslims. That's what he said, demonize Indian Muslims. It was a sweeping claim, one designed to elicit global sympathy. Unfortunately for Bilawal, he was immediately fact-checked by a journalist.
You cannot combat terrorism if you're going to use it as a political tool to demonize the Muslims within your own country.
Let me start with a statement you made today, saying that the recent terrorist attack in Kashmir is being used as a political tool to demonize Muslims in India. Sir, I have watched the briefings on both sides, and as far as I recall, there were Muslim Indian military officers who were conducting the briefing on the Indian side.
Well, as far as the operation is concerned, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Bilawal says Indian Muslims are demonized, so the journalist mentions the Indian military briefings. One of the officers leading them was Colonel Sophia Qureshi, again an Indian Muslim officer. And for a moment, Bilawal had no answer. It's like someone suddenly showed him Pakistan's hidden terror camps. This fact check derailed his entire script. So here's some free advice for Islamabad. Before launching an international campaign, come up with some original content. The world has heard the Kashmir rant. They've seen the sympathy tour. They've endured the contradictions. You want respect? Then start with coherence. Start by cleaning up the mess at home. Stop shielding the very actors you claim to oppose and maybe send someone with experience to the United Nations. Because right now, Bilawal is not leading a diplomatic delegation. He's leading a PR disaster. Asim Munir escaped one war, but he could be facing another one soon, this time at home. Pakistan's army chief is under pressure from Imran Khan. He's like that headache that refuses to go away. Arrest him, convict him. It doesn't matter what you do. Imran Khan just continues to hit back. This time he's accusing Asim Munir of targeting his wife. It dates back to when he was Prime Minister. Back then, Asim Munir headed the ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence. Now let me quote his statement, Imran Khan's statement. As Prime Minister, when I removed General Asim Munir from the post of DG ISI, he sought to approach my wife, Bushra Bibi, through intermediaries to discuss the matter. Bushra Bibi categorically declined, saying that she had no involvement with such affairs and would not meet him. It is General Asim Munir's vindictive nature that is behind Bushra Bibi's unjust 14-month incarceration and deplorable inhumane treatment in prison. Now, this is a serious allegation. Imran Khan says his wife refused to meet Asim Munir, and that is why she has been jailed. Her name is Bushra Bibi. She has been convicted on multiple charges, including corruption and violation of marriage laws. Imran Khan claims that she is being mistreated in jail, again on Asim Munir's orders. And this is a huge gamble by Imran Khan, because the army chief is consolidating power rapidly. After the conflict with India, he gave himself a promotion. Despite losing the battle, Asim Munir was elevated himself to Field Marshal. He is only the second Field Marshal in Pakistan's history. Plus, his popularity is apparently soaring. Look at this poll from last month. 82% Pakistanis rated the army's performance as very good. 92% said that their opinion of the military had improved. So clearly, Asim Munir was flying high. Then why is Imran Khan attacking him? Is he not going against the public sentiment? Well, two things are possible. A, the army is just manufacturing this popularity. In reality, Pakistanis are not buying any of it. Or B, Imran Khan does not care. He is willing to risk the backlash to attack Asim Munir. And both these situations are possible. And we can guess Imran Khan's justification. He would probably say he's fighting Munir, not the army. In fact, let me take you back to mid-May. After the conflict with India, Imran Khan released a statement. He was all praise for Pakistan's army, but he did not mention Asim Munir at all. Later, when Munir was promoted, Imran Khan took a swipe. He said the title of Field Marshal was not apt. He said King would have been better. Why? Because Pakistan is being ruled by the laws of the jungle, and in the jungle, there is only one king. Now, we have no love lost for Imran Khan, but we must say that was a good zinger. The question is, why is he saying all this? Does he have no interest in leaving prison? At the moment, it seems like it. You see, Imran Khan and Asim Munir have a long-running feud. In 2018, Munir was appointed as the chief of ISI, but the very next year, Imran Khan removed him. In fact, Asim Munir's stint was the shortest in Pakistan's history as ISI chief. And the reasons for his ouster are not clear. Some reports say that Munir had dirt on Imran Khan's wife, which is why he was pushed out. Others even point to ethnic differences. Imran Khan is a Pashtun, Asim Munir is a Punjabi. Whatever the trigger, the fact is neither man likes the other. Their rivalry has toppled one regime and rigged elections. Asim Munir may have the advantage at the moment, but Imran Khan is not giving up. Maybe he feels the public sentiment is on his side, or maybe he feels the economic issues will put pressure on Munir. Either way, one thing is quite clear. This internal rivalry could shape Pakistan's future.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
No, it has been marred by the fact that almost 11 lives that we can confirm have been lost as far as this horrible stampede is concerned. Yes, there were too many people out there were a lot of youngsters out there, but it is ultimately the responsibility of the state government to ensure that they can handle the crowds that they know very well will be out on the streets. Let me also go across to my guest Vikram Singh and Charu Pragya, both joining us. Charu Pragya, I want to come to you first. The BJP has already launched the first salvos at the Congress government, but would this be the right time to play any politics on this unfortunate incident?
Shivani, good evening. My heartfelt condolences and prayers to people who are injured and those who've lost their lives in this horrific stampede. We are not politicizing this, Shivani, but we must remember that this was a state-sponsored event. This was an event which was planned entirely by the government of Karnataka. It was planned entirely in a way where no permission was taken either from the municipal corporation or from the police. And maybe Congress thought that RCB's win could become a branding exercise for them. This is exactly why we are faced with such a tragedy today. Look at the magnitude of it. Everybody knew there going to be a huge crowd, but there was no pre-event crowd assessment done. There was no barricading. There were no emergency exits. In fact, there were no ambulance zones.